Hello, it is so good to see you. I am Frolicker VGC. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome for the very first time. It's good to have you either way. So, it's been a little while since I've posted in a battle for the Dubious Diamond Invitational. Basically, I'll give you a couple updates on that, and then we'll get into this actually hugely important battle for this tournament. So, basically, we have round 5, round 6, semifinals, and finals left to post for the Dubious Diamond Invitational. I've gotten a little burnt out on different things, and I've been focusing on other things, which is why there's been a little bit of a gap, but hopefully we can get the rest of this out pretty quick. And one of the things I have been working on, actually, is Dubious Diamond Invitational 2, which is going to be a lot of fun, and basically I plan to, once we get Dubious Diamond Invitational 2, once I start to post something for that, I plan to have that be a weekly upload. And so I was kind of getting some infrastructure ready for that, so that, yeah, we could be good to go there. I was working on some other videos as well that have yet to be posted, but there is some channel stuff now that is a lot further along since the last time I was here, even though it's been a while since I posted. Anyway, here, Dubious Diamond Invitational 1. This is going to be me against Alexa in round 5. The thing about this game is that this game is basically a playoff game. We are in round 5. Alexa and I both have 4 points in the group. The winner of this is in a fantastic position to advance. We are both even on differential as well. So, yes, basically whoever wins this game, there's a very good chance they'd simply just advance to the next round. It is possible with differential that there could still be a mix-up after this, but it is very likely the winner of this simply advances. Last time out, me and Alexa actually drew, and so it is a pretty crazy matchup here. So here we have Snorlax Hitmontop against Darkrai Azelf. So this is a tournament where we drafted moves and abilities for our Pokemon in Pokemon Battle Revolution. So my team is a Perish Trap team, with Celebi and Cresselia being the trappers. This is one of the few games in the entire tournament in which I do not lead by trapping an opponent, which I think is very interesting. So instead I lead Hitmontop Snorlax. I'm really afraid of this plus-minus Darkrai Azelf mode, and so here you can see I go for Fake Out on to Darkrai, Sucker Punch onto Azelf, and Azelf does switch out. So this is a decent position for me. Darkrai is still really spooky and has yet to lock into a move, and so that is definitely something that is pretty scary for me on Alexa's end of the field. Because basically I think we've seen that Focus Blast pretty much can just one-shot Snorlax. Dark Pulse with a plus-minus boost is definitely one-shotting either of my Psychic-type trappers, so it's going to be interesting to see what Alexa chooses to lock in here, and if I will be able to trap anything on the field. Because Snorlax, of course, is threatening big damage, but it can be one-shot by the Infernape. A similar sort of thing with Hitmontop. It's threatening big damage, but it could also potentially go down really quickly to a hit from the Darkrai as well. So an interesting situation here. Yeah, really my thought process for this game was to try and avoid a situation last time where I lost a Mon turn 1. That was really what I was trying to avoid. So I do reestablish the trap. I switch in Cresselia for Hitmontop. I protect the Snorlax. And so it'll be interesting to see what Choice Specs Darkrai locks into here, because now it's going to be locked onto the field. And it is going to be Blizzard, interestingly enough. So that actually does not do a ton to Cresselia. I do get frozen, but we do have a Lumberry just for this type of situation. That is pretty crazy. Infernape is going to go for close combat onto Snorlax. So now, again, we've got a pretty interesting situation where Blizzard is being threatened. Snorlax can eat the Blizzard and potentially attack the Darkrai, but Infernape is really threatening for the Snorlax. Although truly, the Cresselia took that Choice Specs Blizzard really, really well. That is very, very impressive there. And normally I'd be afraid of a Dark Pulse from the Darkrai, but Alexa did not lock into it. And so I'm a bit kind of out of the woods there a little bit now that the Darkrai can't switch. So for me, I think the next big priority this game is going to be, can I set up Trick Room so I can actually enable the Snorlax? The question also might be, do I need to switch out the Snorlax because of this close combat threat from Infernape? So it'll be interesting to see what is locked into there. Another freeze, though, from Alexa probably could just be game-winning at this point. And Snow is up because this is Snow Warning Infernape. And I think, like, what, do we have plus Darkrai and Snow Warning Infernape? So just some wild stuff on the field right now. Blizzard is going to come out. A freeze on either slot would be really devastating. It looked like that did even more to Cresselia than it did last time. That is Citrus Berry. Thankfully, not a freeze there. Close Combat is going to come out into the Hitmontop. And yeah, a double up under the Cresselia there might have been able to take it out, which would have been pretty devastating. But Cresselia is still going to be on the field, and it is going to be able to use that Trick Room. So yeah, that was a huge turn from my perspective, where now I have I've finally gotten my speed control up. I don't believe either Infernape or Darkrai has Protect here. I'm threatening a potential knockout on either slot, depending on how much Psychic does to Infernape. That's kind of the big question. And so the positioning is fantastic. That was definitely risky because if I think if the Infernape had gone for a Flare Blitz into Cresselia, I think I could have just lost the game immediately and potentially just immediately been out of the tournament. Winning this game by a good differential is also going to be a key thing for both trainers. So if Alexa had actually gotten that knockout onto Cresselia, without speed control, it would have been really difficult for me to pick up knockouts in this game. And Alexa potentially could have gotten a big enough win to simply guarantee a place in the next round. As it stands, we still have a game, though. Shadow Tag is on Cresselia, so Darkrai and Infernape cannot switch out. And the speed advantage is for the first time in the battle on my side of the field. So yeah, I mean, the thing is, this is just a really difficult matchup for me, I think, just because plus and minus are such, like, you don't normally see it, but with Darkrai and Azelf are such devastating abilities. And it really shows kind of the disadvantage of having no super fastmon on my own team, to where I really, for the most part, give those Pokemon a free hit. So I have to kind of look for alternative options to stop that from happening, which is why I, of course, used Fake Out and... Okay, so Infernape does have Protect here, actually, which is, of course, why I used Fake Out and Sucker Punch on that turn 1 to try and make something happen there. So Close Combat comes out into Darkrai. Darkrai goes down. Infernape is still going to be able to survive on the field because of Protect. It is going to be interesting to see how much this Psychic does. I mean, I of course, am here commentating it from the future, so I might have an idea, but we're trying to build up suspense here. Because, yeah, depending on how this Cresselia is trained, that is going to greatly impact how much Psychic would do here. So it'll be interesting to see what's sent out. Regice is actually sent out here. And I think we actually saw, I believe we saw in Game 1, that this Regice is actually going to be slower than both my Hitmontop and my Cresselia. And so that does end up being pretty spooky, because now all of a sudden the Psychic I was threatening onto Infernape, now that is no longer online, because Alexa has got the slowest Pokemon on the field in this Trick Room. So yeah, now it's that's a pretty interesting situation, where Alexa is effectively using my own Trick Room against me here. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how effectively Alexa can leverage that. I do still have a Snorlax in the back here, but of course hard switching in Snorlax at this stage is risking a close combat from Infernape, so that is definitely not an ideal option from my perspective here. So Regice does go for Blizzard. Alexa could have made a call there that I was... Well, actually, no. Alexa really does have to kind of KO this Hitmontop. I guess Alexa could have done something like Protect the Regice, try to not pick up a KO, put me in like a difficult positioning perspective, but that would not have been the easiest thing in the world. Infernape goes for U-turn, But because my Hitmontop was already KO'd, that does not quite pan out here. Both Infernape and Regice do have Protect. I believe there are 2 turns remaining in Trick Room, though. I believe there are 2 turns remaining in Trick Room. So it is going to be interesting to see kind of what is going to go on here. So Snorlax does have Superpower. It is a Life Orb Superpower Snorlax. So the question is that enough to take out Regice? I think it does depend on how the Regice is trained, if that is enough to take it out. Simply because if it is trained, Regice naturally has like 200 base special defense, but significantly less base physical defense. And I believe only like 80 base HP. So if it's trained in specifically physical defense, it can probably live it, since it's not stab from Snorlax. But there is a world in which it could KO as well. If it doesn't KO, though, and Regice gets a Blizzard off, that could be pretty devastating from my end of the field. Regice goes for Protect, so that's telling me that Alexa thinks that will probably KO, and you can see that our Wii Remote is disconnected. Thankfully, that's not the match disconnecting. That is not the match disconnecting. I think we just had to, I think a battery might have fallen out of the Wii Remote or something, but we seem to get that sorted out pretty quick. Superpower goes into Regice. Psychic is going to go into Infernape. How much does this do? Enough, and the Infernape does, in fact, go down. So Infernape has Snow Warning. I think it's really interesting to wonder, would that Psychic have killed without the chip from Hail? How much was that doing to a full health Infernape? Because like Snow Warning has enabled the Regice here to just throw off blizzards and to be really threatening from that perspective, but there was a cost as well in the fact that like Infernape itself is not a mon that benefits from snow being up, even though it is the snow setter on this team. So now we are going to see Azelf, and this is a pretty interesting situation, because I believe this is the last turn of Trick Room. Regice has just protected. Cresselia goes down to, like, any attack from Regice if it's able to attack. It also goes down to Hail in a couple of turns. And so it's not very long for this world. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of what button I end up clicking here to try and make sure that Alexa doesn't have a path into the game. I could Superpower and then hope that Snorlax has got enough in the tank to deal with Azelf as well. That is definitely an option. I could, a lot's going to depend on what's in the back. I forget if it's actually shown on here. I think if you're an eagle-eyed viewer, you might already know what I have in the back. Usually you'd probably assume it's Celebi, my other trapping mon. But getting a Perish Song win up from this stage looks pretty unlikely. Especially because Speed Order... Especially because we've seen some pretty weird things with Perish Song in here. So we see Regice go for a Protect and fail. That was a double Protect. I believe it's 50% likely in Gen 4. Snorlax goes for Self-Destruct. It one-shots the Regice. And this is not going to be a Focus Sash Azelf, so if the Regice is going down to that, then you would probably assume the Azelf is going down to that as well. And that is going to be the game there. So yeah, that was a pretty crazy final turn there. So in hindsight, I'm not certain that was exactly the correct play. Basically, I don't know if I was certain that Superpower KO'd. There's a good chance it did. While Self-Destruct, I think, was just more damage because of the stab boost, and Self-Destruct is just like a 400 base power move in Gen 4. And basically... that situation, if Regice got the double protect, I think Alexa probably just wins that game. And if Regice does not get the double protect, then of course the game is going to end on the spot there. So I think, basically, at that time, I did not actually think Regice was going to go for the double protect. I thought that Regice might try and either underspeed the Snorlax and Blizzard the Cress, to potentially kind of like pressure in that way. Or I thought that Regice could potentially live the Superpower. And so basically I was afraid the Regice would attack, and I thought that just covered all my options. the best it could have. In hindsight, I don't know if it was the wisest play, but it worked out. I take the win. I go up to 7 points in the blue group, and yeah, I put myself in a really good position to advance there. So that was a fantastic game, really well played by Alexa, and yeah, it came down to a potential double protect in the dying moments. So yeah, that was a really crazy match. All right, on to the second game for today in round 5 of DDI 1. We have MJ against K here. MJ has been absolutely dominating this tournament. Pretty much MJ has looked like the team to beat in this tournament. We knew going in that both Rain and Sun were perhaps just the strongest archetypes that this tournament could have. And MJ's take on it has proven to just be extremely effective and well-balanced, to the point where, while Riley's Sun team very much revolves around getting Sun up every single game, MJ has proven that his team is extremely flexible, kind of regardless of weather. I think even leaving Drizzle Zapdos behind in one game. So yeah, MJ's been absolutely dominant here. And K hasn't had a fantastic tournament so far, but actually the result in the most recent game where I beat Alexa is actually extremely beneficial for K. K is at 3 points in this group. MJ has already clinched top spot, actually. So K is at 3 points. If K wins this game, they'll be 1 point behind me. K will be in third, and I will be in second. And K actually goes up against me in the final group game. So because I was able to beat Alexa in the other match in this group, that means that K's fate is now entirely in their own hands, with 2 games to go. So that was fantastic news from K's perspective. That being said, they have to go up against a really, really difficult team. So here we've got Zapdos Dragonite here. So this is, of course, Drizzle Zapdos. This is, I think, just a crazy lead from MJ. It's just super strong. This is Life Orb Dragonite with Brave Bird, because that is somehow allowed in our tournament. And we've got Mesprit and Breloom on K's side of the field. So here, it's going to be interesting to... Yeah, I do wonder how fast is Breloom compared to this Dragonite. Either one could potentially be faster, depending on how these Pokemon are trained. K definitely wants to get up Trick Room. And so the question is, does K go for something like Spore into Dragonite, Trick Room with Mesprit, if K thinks Breloom is faster? Or does K fake out the Zapdos and go for Trick Room? The answer is actually going to be neither, as Breloom switches out into Rhyperior. So if this catches some big moves on either side, that's going to be really beneficial. A critical hit on Mesprit. Does it just go down? Wow, that was a brutal critical hit. Oh, that is so rough. Because the thing is, I imagine that Brave Bird was just into the Breloom. It could have been a double up onto the Mesprit. But if that Brave Bird was into the Breloom, then that Mesprit certainly is supposed to survive that Thunder, would get up Trick Room, and then Rhyperior is just in a fantastic position in this game where I'm not sure MJ would have switch-ins to just Rock Slide being clicked repeatedly. There's just not a ton in general that wants to switch into that sort of thing. So that is absolutely devastating. Yeah, if that was a Brave Bird into the Breloom, then that was potentially just like a hugely beneficial position for K that just got thrown out the window there by that critical hit. Extremely unfortunate. So now K has no more Trick Room, no option for that for the rest of the game, has no redirection. Rhyperior is still in a really good position, but this just, I think, gives MJ a lot more ability to rotate around it, and to act. And basically, for the rest of the game, MJ is going to be moving before the Rhyperior, which is the biggest threat on K's side of the field. So, yeah, that is really, really unfortunate from K's perspective there. Because, yeah, there's no way that Thunder just OHKOs that Mesprit without that critical hit. So protect from both. There's not really anything to stall out here, so I think, yeah, MJ is probably just... No, actually, no. MJ's playing it smart. Because the thing is, Zapdos can't actually touch the Rhyperior. And Dragonite probably isn't doing fantastic damage into it either. And so, well, Dragonite does have Earthquake, so Dragonite can do some damage here. But yeah, this basically meant that the Empoleon was the easier target to hit. Empoleon's going to be slower than both the Dragonite and the Zapdos based on what we've seen in previous matches. And now MJ can freely target into it, unless K, first off, goes for and potentially gets a Double Protect. So yeah, MJ just has the ability to get just a ton of value out of this turn. Dragonite is going to switch out here. That is interesting. So I think MJ just doesn't want to take the Rock Slide on these Pokemon. Empoleon's going to switch out as well for Breloom. Presumably this is going to be Thunder into that slot, unless we see a U-turn, but we do see a Thunder into the Breloom. Still a huge amount of damage there in spite of the resist. So we're going to see Rock Slide come out. That is Adaptability Rock Slide, and that is going to get the one shot on... No! Zapdos lived? Oh my gosh! I think that's the second time Zapdos has lived at this tournament. It lives on 1 HP. Oh my gosh. You do wonder if that's a roll. If so, that's just really, really unfortunate on K's side of the field. Hariyama comes in, is going to have fake out pressure here on either slot. Unfortunately, Breloom's actually going to be faster than the Hariyama, you would assume. So that means Breloom has got the fastest fake out, and that means Zapdos is pressured with a KO, or Hariyama could be pressured with just being nullified for this turn. So it'll be interesting to see how MJ handles that on their side of the field. So yeah, it is this is a little bit awkward for MJ. It would be so much more awkward if Trick Room was able to go up. I think K would be in a fantastic spot here if they were able to get up Trick Room turn 1. As it stands, they're still fighting. They've still got, I think, the advantage for this turn. So we'll see how MJ kind of handles all of that. Hariyama, yeah, this is Clear Body Hariyama, which is, it's basically a clear amulet. It's all right. Okay, we don't see a fake out from either side, which is crazy. We see Thunder into Breloom, and it does go down. That is just barely a 2-hit KO, so presumably Breloom was trying to go for Spore there. Hariyama, we now see, does outspeed this Rhyperior, is able to get a close combat off. How much does this do? It does the rest. So Rhyperior goes down, and I think that is going to be game, set, match here. Yeah, if K was able to get up Trick Room turn 1, we do have a very different game. Presumably, K was predicting the Zapdos to be more passive there and trying to go for Spore on Hariyama, which I think is a play that makes a ton of sense. However, MJ, I think at that point, was far enough ahead to where MJ was willing to let the Zapdos go down to potential fake out to ensure that there aren't any other shenanigans going on from K's side of the field. A Bullet Punch here, I think MJ is just saying, I think this Thunder is going to KO, I'll get a little chip to make sure, and preserve differential. Not that it matters, because MJ is already through at top spot in the group. K goes down, and that is going to be K's tournament run ending as well. Really tough there for K, because I think we would have had a really interesting matchup had Trick Room gone up. I think in this tournament, though, I think the most difficult thing from K's perspective was the fact that Mesprit was the only Trick Room setter, and there was no redirection. I think it was really difficult. Because specifically, I think Alexa's team just always moving first really heavily pressures that Mesprit. And this goes for both my team and K's team. We both basically were not able to set up Trick Room turn 1 against Alexa's team, which is, I think, was really difficult for both of us in the group. And also just, I mean, MJ's team's extremely well balanced, but yeah, here we saw that. Yeah, I mean, here's mostly just bad luck. K could have faked out the Zapdos as well and traded Breloom for Trick Room. That was an option. But yeah, it was just a lot of bad luck there for K, and I think they made a reasonable play and then just got punished by a crit. Anyway, yeah. Fair play to both trainers. Congratulations to MJ. And now we're going to move on to the games for the opposite group. All right, now on to the other group in the Dubious Diamond Invitational. Onto Group 1, we've got Andrew against Britt. Andrew right now is a win away here from clinching a spot in top 4. So yeah, it's as simple as that for Andrew. If Andrew wins, Andrew advances. The only person that could overtake Andrew at this point is Britt. And Andrew could potentially top the group as well. In order to do that, Andrew is definitely going to be wanting to win this match. Otherwise, Andrew would have to rely on Riley losing the other one. And yeah, so if Andrew wants to win the group, Andrew needs to win this match. For Britton is 6 points down here from Andrew. If Britton wins, Andrew's going up against the group leader in the following match. So if Britton wins, there actually is a solid chance that Britton can advance. Because Andrew is at an advantage in differential. Try saying that 3 times fast. Because Andrew is at an advantage in differential. Britton basically needs to win by at least 2 Pokemon here. That is going to be key for Britton as well. So Britton needs to win this game, and Britton needs to win this game convincingly in order to keep his tournament hopes alive. And honestly, his tournament hopes are going to be very much alive if he is able to do that, but that is going to be no easy feat here. We've already seen Life Orb Deoxys attack just absolutely rip holes through teams here. Last time out, though, you do get the feeling that there's a lot that Britton is able to do to trouble Andrew's side of the field. And you get the feeling from the last game we saw between these two trainers that there is a lot of potential in these leads for Britton to make some really positive progress here. Because Weavile is not going to hit incredibly hard with ice moves. Again, this tournament, these Pokemon get weird moves and abilities from time to time, so Weavile is Technician. So we're going to see Follow Me in Generation 4 actually goes before Fake Out. So that means that Togekiss is able to take this on the chin. Psycho Boost. I imagine Togekiss goes down to... Yeah, I mean, that's Life Orb Psycho Boost from the Deoxys attack. I don't think there is a stronger move in this tournament. So yeah, Deoxys attack... able to do a whole lot there. And it's going to be interesting to see what this Manaphy goes for. So this is simple Manaphy going for Tail Glow. In Generation 4, Tail Glow is actually only the same boost as Nasty Plot. So this is basically a +4 Manaphy, so it's going to be dealing 3 times the damage it would previously here. So now there is a lot being threatened from Britton's side of the field here. Britton could go for a Surf. Unfortunately, Metagross has no way to dodge the Surf if that is what Britton chooses to go for. A Bullet Punch will very likely simply one-shot the Deoxys from this range. Deoxys is most likely wanting to get out of here as soon as possible. We could see a Protect from the Manaphy, simply because like Ice Beam isn't going to one-shot the Weavile since it is Sash, and a Surf would hit the Metagross. So it's going to be interesting to see what Britt prioritizes here. Does Britton prioritize hitting the Shuckle on the switch with a strong Surf, or does Britt prioritize protecting this Manaphy? So we do see Manaphy go on the offensive here. That's pretty surprising, I think. We're going to see Pursuit from Weavile. This is Technician, so this is going to be a 60 base power stab Pursuit. Not doing a ton to Metagross. This is Gen 4, so that is a neutral hit. Okay, Ice Beam on Manaphy. Ice Beam, okay. So Ice Beam into that Weavile. That should probably put it into Bullet Punch range. I don't believe... Yeah, the Shuckle's not going to be in Bullet Punch range, however. So this is interesting. Basically, as long as Metagross is on the field, life is going to be really difficult for Life Orb Deoxys, because Metagross, with a Choice Band, can simply one-shot it. I think there's no question about that. What Andrew wants to do is Andrew wants to position a Follow Me user next to the Deoxys attack. So, oh, don't click that. Andrew wants to position a Follow Me user, either Shuckle or Electivire, next to Deoxys attack, so that Deoxys can do what its name says and attack Britain's team without fear of being knocked out beforehand. Manaphy can bypass that. However, Manaphy might just get one-shot by a Psycho Boost if given the opportunity. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Presumably, Andrew is wanting to let this Weavile go down. Britain doesn't want to take any damage on the Manaphy here, wants to keep that Manaphy as strong as possible. That is now 2 KOs that Britain has picked up, and 1 KO on Andrew's side of the field. Okay, wait, no. That was the first KO for both. Okay, so both teams have 3 Pokemon. Britain, remember, is trying to win this game by at least 2. And Deoxys attack comes out. That is a very scary Pokemon. It gets a download special attack boost, which is just a... I mean, Psycho Boost might just kill the... No, it's 4 times resist. Surely it doesn't kill the Metagross. But, yeah, this is a spooky, spooky situation. So what does Deoxys do is kind of the big question. I think the Shuckle is forced to follow me. Does the Deoxys attack the Manaphy, or does it protect and potentially Shadow Ball this Metagross? So Metagross is locked in with Choice Band. It goes for Bullet Punch. We do not see a Protect from Manaphy. This is not going to kill the Shuckle. So we are going to see, what does Deoxys go for? What target are we going to see? We see the Psycho Boost, and it is going to be into Manaphy. Manaphy, yeah, it is not taking that. So even though it got 2 times for special attack, Manaphy only gets a resisted Ice Beam off into Weavile and is going to go down. Crucially, though, Manaphy was never hit into the Metagross, which is, I think, pretty significant for Britain's side of the field. We're going to see Latios last here. So the question basically is going to become, how much can this Choice Band Metagross do with Bullet Punch to the remainder of Andrew's team? That's really the big thing. The issue is, I think Bullet Punch probably one-shots the Shuckle from this range. And Deoxys is going to be at -1 special attack. It might have enough in the tank to one-shot this Latios still. So a Follow Me Shadow Ball into Latios could be pretty devastating, potentially game-winning from Andrew's side of the field. And it's going to be, yeah, can he find a way to knock out that Latios before Metagross knocks out the Deoxys attack, I think is kind of the big question here. So the question as well for Britain's side of the field is, do you protect the Latios? Do you protect on Andrew's side of the field? It is not a simple situation by any means. We're going to see Follow Me. We're going to see no protect on either side. We are going to see a Bullet Punch is going to go into the Shuckle. It is, I think, yeah, it is going to finish off that Shuckle. That is huge. No, Shuckle survives! And Shadow Ball comes out into the Latios. Oh, that's not... Oh, but Latios lives as well! That is humongous. And Psychic, Shuckle does go down. That's a fantastic turn for Britain. And now we get to see what is going to be in the back here for Andrew's side of the field. Latios with Life Orb, that is a huge survival by the Latios. Psycho Boost caused Deoxys' special attack to go down twice. However, a download boost meant that it was only at -1 special attack, and with Life Orb, I kind of expected that to kill. That still was going to be a ton of damage, but Latios crucially hangs on, and Metagross looks like it's in a fantastic spot here. Staraptor is Choice Banded, so it's going to have to make a decision what it wants to lock into. You could lock into... Yeah, basically you'd think the Staraptor has to lock into Close Combat, but that does, in order to hit the Metagross. However, that does mean that Metagross is going to be doing even more damage with those defense drops onto the Staraptor. So it's going to be interesting to see what these trainers lock into here. I think because that Latios lived, I think Brit is at a pretty good advantage here. It's going to be tough to win by more than one Pokemon, but Britain is still going to be in the competition if he gets a win by any means whatsoever. He'll simply need a big differential swing in the next round. So we're going to see a Protect from Latios. That's really interesting. Potentially trying to preserve differential. Extreme speed into the Latios. So that might be what trainers are playing for here. So we're going to see Bullet Punch into the Deoxys. Yeah, I think that makes a degree of sense from both trainers' perspective. Britain probably assumed that the Staraptor wanted to knock out the Latios first, and he assumed correctly, and Britain also did not want to let the Deoxys potentially win the game by getting an attack off onto either slot. I think Andrew, with that extreme speed, is basically saying that Andrew simply wants to get as much differential on his side as possible. I think that's what that means. That is double protect from Latios there. That's really interesting. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. But Andrew kind of calls it, goes for extreme speed into Metagross. That did a very reasonable amount of damage there. And the Bullet Punch is going to go into this Deoxys. Deoxys is going to go down to this Bullet Punch. I imagine it would probably go down at full health. That thing is not very bulky and is probably trained to be a mixed attacker, and so probably does not have any bulk investment whatsoever, I would assume, with all the redirection on this team. And now we've got Staraptor facing down a 2 versus 1. You'd think the Staraptor is going to be able to get a KO onto this Latios, and it in fact is going to be able to get that KO. So this looks like, I guess we're going to see how much damage Banded Metagross does here to this Staraptor. Choice Band, Bullet Punch, that's doing around half. I think Metagross is going to, I mean, Andrew needs Extreme Speed to be a 2-hit KO here. I think if Extreme Speed gets... No. It looks like Bullet Punch is a 2-hit KO on this Staraptor. It could possibly be a roll. If Extreme Speed gets a crit here, I think Extreme Speed can be a 2-hit KO. I mean, it could have gone down to a crit there. It would have been really, really tight. Bullet Punch comes out into Staraptor. Is this enough? That's enough. I don't think it lasted on 1. Yep, that is going to do it. So Britain is going to take that game. Britain keeps his tournament hopes alive with that win. However, differential is definitely in Andrew's favor, especially being able to knock out that Latios there. A really, really fun back and forth game there. And Britain is basically going to need a huge swing in differential on the last round, but it is possible with Andrew going up against a really, really difficult opponent. Alright, welcome back to our final game in Round 5 of the Dubious Diamond Invitational, Part 1. And we've got Riley against Charpie. So we put this one last just because Riley has already clinched a spot in top 4. Charpie is eliminated from the tournament, all based on prior results. Charpie can still finish in 3rd here in the group, and Riley is basically, whether or not Riley gets 1st or 2nd is still up in the air. Riley can clinch 1st place in the group with a win in this match, which is basically where the stakes are at here. So that'll determine who Riley ends up facing from the opposite group in top 4. MJ is already clinched to win that group. I'm in a pretty solid position for 2nd, but Alexa can still overtake me. And so, yeah, basically, if Riley wins the group, then we could potentially have Sun against Rain in finals. If Riley comes in 2nd in the group, then that means we'll have Sun against Rain in the semis, which I think is a really interesting possibility there. But we are going to see. Riley is in a fantastic position to win this group at this stage, though. So here we got Garchomp, Tyranitar. This is Choice Scarf. Okay, so yeah, a lot of things have already happened here. Typhlosion is Drought, first off, which is crazy. And Tyranitar is, of course, Sandstream, as it normally is. Tyranitar has Sacred Fire added to it. We'll see if that ends up mattering here. So that means Weather Control is on Charpie's side of the field here, and Garchomp has got Choice Scarf. And not only that, it has Serene Grace as well. So Garchomp's going to be moving 1st here. And the Typhlosion gets Pursuited. How much is this going to do? It's going to be 80 base power here. That's a good chunk. So that means that Typhlosion, if it comes back in later in the game and tries to use Choice Specs Eruption, it's not going to be doing as much damage as it might have done at a different point in the game. Garchomp is going to go for Rock Slide here. This is 60% likely to flinch because it is Serene Grace. However, it does not flinch. Sleep Powder comes out, and it misses. So yeah, there was basically a 25% chance for Sleep Powder to miss there. And in addition to that, there was a 60% chance of a flinch. So overall, not it was unlikely for Jump Bluff to land Sleep Powder in that turn. So that's a fantastic turn 1 from Charpie's perspective. And yeah, I mean, this Garchomp is just, I think, one of the scariest things in this entire tournament. Just being able to outspeed things with Choice Scarf, and being able to, with Serene Grace, potentially get a whole bunch of flinches. And Tyranitar, of course, is going to do Tyranitar things as well, and just offer a lot of damage and weather control too. So the thing is, since this is Gen 4, we do not have, the speed order does not change based on what Pokemon switch in and out. So if Typhlosion comes in here, that would not have allowed the Jump Bluff to outspeed the... It would not have allowed the Jump Bluff to outspeed the Garchomp, because, yeah, speed does not change immediately there. So here we have Tyranitar going for Rock Slide. I believe this is Lum Tyranitar, and yeah, I think basically Charpie called that Protect there. Probably called that and maybe a switch to Typhlosion. Thunder Wave ends up going up into the T-Tar. Is that... Okay, no, it wasn't Lum T-Tar, so I guess the T-Tar still could have got slept. But now this Scizor comes out. This is, funnily enough, going to be Guts on Scizor. And so that means Scizor is potentially threatening a Bullet Punch into this Jump Bluff or Clefable that would likely KO either slot from this range, you would think. And Tyranitar, now that it's paralyzed, actually can't be put to sleep. So this Jump Bluff can't actually accomplish anything on the field here. It can set up Sunny Day, but it cannot... It can set up Tailwind, but it cannot put anything to sleep. So the thing is, yeah, Riley's in not a fantastic position here. Charpie's played this extremely effectively, calling that Protect well on that last turn as well. And basically, the big thing here is Riley has 3 Pokemon that are heavily damaged, and in a Weather War like this, you really want to have the Pokemon advantage, because if the opposite team has the Pokemon advantage, they can switch in and out of their Weather Setter and gain control of the field in that way. However, if you only have 2 Pokemon, you lose that option. Both teams have 4 Pokemon here. That's going to be a Bullet Punch into the Typhlosion. It's not quite going to knock out, but that does enable Weather Ball from this Clefable into the Scizor. And that is going to be a one-hit KO. Oh, that's absolutely crazy. So Scizor is going to go down. That's a fantastic play by Riley there. And Tyranitar gets paralyzed. Riley all of a sudden is back in this game. Oh, that's why he's leading this group with plays like that. Definitely a lot of fortune there with the Tyranitar getting fully paralyzed, but Rock Slide also has a chance to miss. So basically, Riley was down a little bit there, and he made a play where... he basically knew that this potentially could get him completely back in this game 100%. And so now, Garchomp is still going to be the fastest thing on the field because, yeah, Garchomp's the fastest thing on the field, and that's going to be the spooky thing for Riley here. Riley basically needs a Tailwind up with Jump Bluff in order to make use of this Typhlosion, and I'm not sure that Riley has got a lot of tools to have this Typhlosion moving before anything else. So yeah, that was a fantastic turn by Riley, but it's a little bit out of the frying pan into the fire here, with Garchomp being able to come right back out. Yeah, this is looking difficult. Rock Slide can always miss, which has definitely cost Charpie before in this tournament. And like you almost wonder if you lock into Dragon Claw here. And basically, yeah, Charpie's big advantage here is that Riley just doesn't have good moves for hitting this Tyranitar or Garchomp for the rest of the game. Pretty much, he's only got fire moves, which is really difficult. Oh wait, no, Riley still's got 4 Pokemon. So who are we going to see here? We're going to see Salamence. Okay, Intimidate. This is interesting. I forgot that Riley had another Pokemon here, just because his Pokemon had taken so much damage, but none of them had quite been knocked out. So in order to continue to have the advantage in the Weather War, Charpie is going to switch Tyranitar out here. We're going to see an Intimidate from the Gyarados here. That's going to be really effective onto the Salamence. And we're going to see Rock Slide. Is Rock Slide going to miss? Rock Slide's going to miss something. It's going to miss the Jump Bluff, which it probably would have knocked out there. Oh, if Jump Bluff goes down there, that's just a huge advantage for Charpie. Getting rid of speed control, getting rid of manual weather, that would have been really nice there. So it's not quite a 2-hit KO on Salamence because of that Intimidate. Salamence is intimidated itself. The scariest thing for Charpie here in this situation is that Salamence does have Explosion. And can a Salamence Explosion potentially just like wreck the game plans that Charpie might have on his own side of the field here? Because yeah, this is definitely an awkward situation for Charpie. I think Charpie's still got the advantage, but Charpie is a Pokemon down. Jumpluff is potentially threatening Sleep, and yeah, the Salamence can potentially boom here as well. And even with the attack drop, Explosion is going to be 500 base power in Generation 4 effectively. So it is an extremely scary move that could knock out both of Charpie's Pokemon. So yeah, this is a difficult situation for both trainers. I do not know what the correct pathway is here. I think an Explosion is scary, but then you're relying on Typhlosion to be your only damage dealer against Tyranitar, which is pretty spooky. Garchomp chooses to switch out here, probably afraid of that Sleep Powder, and we're going to get Tyranitar back in. So the thing is, Tyranitar could potentially live an Explosion. It's not affected by Sleep Powder. There's a lot there that is beneficial there. We're going to see a Protect from Jumpluff. Salamence is going to go for this Explosion next. That's probably what I would have done if I were Riley as well, trying to knock out both of those Pokemon. Gyarados goes down. That does a huge chunk to Tyranitar, but Tyranitar is going to hang in there. That's still, I think, a pretty positive turn from Riley's perspective, because you are going to regain control of the weather, hypothetically. However, if you switch in Typhlosion, then what is going to happen there is that the Garchomp is still going to outspeed you. So now we have two Pokemon left for Charpie. Yeah. So Charpie has lost a lot of resources here very quickly. Riley's done a great job of kind of working his way back into this game after a difficult start. And Riley's going to have weather control for the remainder of this game, which is going to be really interesting here. So, Jumpluff is going to be moving first in this situation, and then Typhlosion. Sorry, it's going to be Jumpluff, then Garchomp, then Typhlosion, then Tyranitar. So I do wonder what the plan is here. Jumpluff could potentially go for a Tailwind as Typhlosion switches out. Oh, I was afraid there might be a pursuit there, but there was no pursuit onto that Typhlosion this time, unlike last time here. And so Riley is choosing to go for Tailwind here so that Typhlosion can come back in and have the speed advantage. I think that makes a ton of sense. Rock Slide is going to come out, though, and both Pokemon are going to go down. So yeah, I think that makes some sense from Riley's perspective, but a Sleep Powder on to the Garchomp might have been more effective. And might have been a play that he needed to make. It's easy to say in hindsight, though, especially since Rock Slide from Garchomp can miss. So that was a double Rock Slide. Yeah, that was definitely a risky play from Riley, and I think that is going to put the advantage. I would say that Charpie's got the advantage now, because really what Riley needs from this point is Riley needs this Heat Wave to either one-shot both Pokemon, or Riley's going to need a miss from the Garchomp at some point. So it'll be interesting to see how much damage Heat Wave does here. An alternative play for Riley that last turn would have been to simply start going for the choice specs Heat Waves sooner, and to have tried to put the Garchomp to sleep. That was an option as well. So we're going to see this Heat Wave. How much is it going to be doing to both these Pokemon? I think Tyranitar goes down to that, but that does not look like a 2-hit KO on the Garchomp. It might be a 2-hit KO with single target, though. So it's going to come down to this Rock Slide. Rock Slide hits, and that is going to be the game for Charpie. That was a really exciting one to end it here. And basically what that means is that Riley and Andrew have got a showdown in the final match of the group, in which a lot of things are going to be determined. Potentially, Britain can still surpass Andrew, if Andrew loses by enough and Britain wins by enough, that is still a possibility. Also, what can happen in that final group game is that Andrew could potentially win the group still, since Riley did not win this match. So that means in our final round, in this group, we still don't know who our two playoff. Really for everything here. We know that MJ has advanced. We don't know the second team to advance in Group 2. And in Group 1, this group that we just watched here, we know that Riley has advanced. However, we do not know the group winner, and we do not know that second team to advance yet. So still a lot to be decided in the final group stage round for DDI 1. Thank you so much for tuning in. We've got a lot of exciting stuff on the horizon planned for this channel. Genuinely, we just finished filming DDI 2. My plan for that one is to kind of rectify, I think, a mistake I made with this league and to have it be a weekly upload. It is crazy exciting, DDI 2. It's going to be so much fun. I don't think it's going to be what you expect. I think if you like Slugma Cup, you'll probably like DDI 2. I think it's a really interesting balance of kind of skill and utter chaos. It was a ton of fun to be a part of. We've got some really cool guest stars for that one too, and I'm super excited to share it. I didn't want to say too much at the start because I didn't want to spoil stuff, but I figure I'll leave that tidbit in for the dedicated folks who are still watching. Much love. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next time.